Okay, well, Presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden is expected to make an announcement about who his running mate choice will be anytime now. Could be sometime this week. People are waiting. Many activists are actually pushing the 77-year-old to choose a black woman as his potential VP, as protests, of course, against systemic racism continue to grip this country. All of this comes ahead of next week's highly anticipated Democratic National Convention. And the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker finds that Biden is leading President Trump by 6 points in the key states of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Ed O'Keefe takes a closer look at the presidential race.
Those new Battleground Tracker surveys out of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin show the president is slipping because Americans doubt his leadership over the coronavirus and the economic downturn. All this while Biden's playing coy with us about when and how he's making his pick.
Even on a bike ride at his vacation home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, the former vice president couldn't escape the question everyone wants answered.
Mr. Vice President, have you picked a running mate yet?
Yeah, I have.
You have? Who is it?
Who is it?
You.
Joking aside, Biden is expected to announce his VP pick in the coming days. Most of the women under consideration haven't been seen in public recently, but one of them, former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice, was spotted playing tennis with her husband on Sunday.
Ambassador, have you been interviewed by Vice President Biden?
Happy Sunday, you ladies. Hope you're having a good one.
CBS News has learned that Biden has met face-to-face with at least one of the contenders. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer flew to Delaware last Sunday to meet with him. The 48-year-old first-term governor gained national attention for her strict stay-at-home order during the pandemic. In an interview with CBS Sunday Morning, Jill Biden says she's weighed in on the big choice.
We've talked about the different women candidates, but it's got to be Joe's decision, who he feels most comfortable with, who shares his values. And that's what he's always said, that he and Barack had.
And the decision matters to some voters. The new CBS News Battleground Tracker in Pennsylvania found among those who say they could consider backing Biden, 7 in 10 say his choice is important.
We've also learned a little more about what Democrats are planning for their convention that begins a week from tonight. Among the party leaders that will speak, and Biden and his running mate, there will also be many regular Americans invited to speak about their concerns with the president, including a Pennsylvania farmer who voted for Mr. Trump 4 years ago, but says he won't be doing so again this year because of disagreements over his trade policies. Anne-Marie?
All right, so let's dig into this. Thank you very much, Ed. We're going to bring in Caitlin Huey-Burns to talk more about Biden's VP pick and why it's so fascinating to people right now. You know, Caitlin, normally the VP pick is not like a huge deciding factor when it comes to where people might be casting their ballot. And here we have a candidate who had basically all the elements that you often look for in a really good VP, right? He's got experience both domestically and internationally. He's had a really long, many long, close relationships with members of Congress, so he's got that. So typically, what a candidate looks for is a vice presidential pick that will complement them and fill in where they are weaker. But it's a little more complicated with Joe Biden. Why do you think his running mate is so important?
That's right, Anne-Marie. Well, this week we're all watching to see who Biden picks as his Biden. A couple of things that make this choice different from years past. First, of course, Biden has done this job himself, so he knows what the requirements are. He knows what he's looking for. And also what makes this different is that he has already said that he will select a woman. So all eyes are on the potential choices of a woman. And the important thing that I think a lot of people are watching for this pick, and again, what separates it from or differentiates it from picks in the past, is that this could be a possibility for a historic nomination. If he does in fact choose a woman of color, that would be the first woman of color chosen as a vice presidential pick. This would be the third woman chosen as a running mate. So there are a lot of eyes on this pick, with given the chance to make some history there. And also given Biden's age, he will be the oldest president if elected. And a lot of people are wondering if this choice will be kind of a bridge to the next generation of leadership within the Democratic Party. Remember, in this primary process, we saw a huge group of Democrats running, the biggest and most diverse group of Democrats running. Biden ended up as the nominee, but a lot of people are watching to see whether he picks someone who will be seen as kind of the next generation or the next new face of the Democratic Party. So a lot of eyes on this pick, the chance to make history, certainly among them.
Earlier, we were talking to Ben Tracy about the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker polling, particularly looking at Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, where it looks like Joe Biden has an edge over President Trump. Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are significant states. They were significant for Trump, and they could be for Biden. Why are they so important?
Right. You could argue that these two states in 2016 were the ones that helped Donald Trump win the presidency. He won those states by thin margins, but they made a huge difference. And so these are top battlegrounds heading in 2016 into 2020. And we see that Biden has a 6-point lead in both of them. We also see that that support is driven by the response to the president's handling of the coronavirus. What was really interesting in this poll that I thought was that Trump still leads on the economy, or at least has a slight edge. We've seen that in other battleground states as well, and that trend continues. However, Biden is still leading in these battleground states because people are saying that the handling of the coronavirus is kind of superseding how they view Trump's handling of the economy. That does, however, still show some potential challenges for Joe Biden, and that's why we've seen him out on the campaign trail giving a series of economic speeches, knowing that this is an area where Trump could have an opening and where he wants to make some strides.
Yeah, and we saw these executive actions over the weekend. Clearly the president is, if not trying to look as if he is doing the work that Congress is not doing to help prop up the economy and keep it going. I know it's sort of pretty kind of early on, and we're just talking about these two states, and there's a lot of debate about what to make of polling, especially after the 2016 election. But what's your sort of sense about how things are going, the strengths and the weaknesses of the two candidates?
Right, and that's a really good point that these serve. Right, exactly. Well, next week with the convention, Biden will become the official Democratic nominee. But it is important to note that these surveys are a snapshot in time, and they're really significant because it gives us a sense of how voters are feeling about everything that we're going through, especially since, a lot of us are at home and kind of are trying to figure out how voters are assessing this. And we see that the coronavirus pandemic is a key issue for a lot of people. And that will be a defining issue likely for the November campaign. But it is important to note, too, that there is still time for this race to shift. And the vice presidential pick could be something that does shift this race in some way. You noted that in Pennsylvania, about 70% of voters who said that they were not yet backing Biden, but could consider it, said that the vice presidential pick will be really important to them. And so that's something to watch. We have the conventions next week and the week after. Now, those are not going to be in the traditional form that we're used to seeing in those big stadiums, big convention halls with lots of people. It's going to be very different. It's going to be virtual, but that could also serve to give a boost or provide some kind of support, or provide some negatives as well. So we have in the next couple of weeks the vice presidential pick and the conventions that could alter the shape of this race.
All right, Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much.
Thank you.